Hello everyone, welcome to the class. Today we're going to talk about the story of the Chinese brush and the ink stick. The brush pen, one of the four treasures of the study, traditional Chinese stationery, has evolved continuously since its invention thousands of years ago.
The origin of it can be traced back almost 4,000 years to the ancient Xia and Shang dynasties. Judging from the red and black ink left on shells and bones unearthed from the Yin ruins. As early as the spring and autumn period, the brush pen had been already produced and put into use.
The original pen, nevertheless, was just a stick or piece of bamboo which made writing on thin silk very slow. Its present form, as a brush, is generally accredited to Meng Tian, a general of Kingdom of Qin.
Legend has it that Meng was leading an army in a fierce battle against the Kingdom of Chu in the region of Zhongshan in 223 BC. Meng's frequent updates to his king caused him trouble because his pen was inconveniently hard. Too little ink, and he could barely finish a few characters. Too much ink, and the pen dripped ink and smeared the precious silk. Given his number of reports, Meng often thought of ways to make improvements.
Between battles, Meng enjoyed hunting. One day after a hunting trip, Meng made his way back to the barracks with his game some white rabbits, fat and heavy. One of the rabbits dragged on the ground, its tail leaving a winding trail. It suddenly occurred to Meng that he might have found the solution to his problem. What if I tie rabbit's hair to a stick? Wouldn't it be soft enough to write with?
Upon returning to the barracks, he immediately severed the rabbit's tail, tied it to a stick, and tried writing with it. To his disappointment, the rabbit's hair was too thick to effectively absorb the ink, leaving only twisted trails and broken strokes. A complete mess instated that his experiment had done nothing but waste precious silk. Meng tossed his invention.
However, Meng Tian was anything but a quitter. He tried many ways to improve the brush pen, but all ended in failure. A few days later, he stumbled upon his prototype. With the last shred of hope, he picked it up. To his delight, the soaked rabbit's hair, now surprisingly soft, absorbed the ink well. The brush worked beautifully on silk, producing fluent and full strokes. It turned out that calcareous water had removed the grease from the hair and softened it.
Meng Tian's alteration to the brush pen was pivotal. For 2,000 years, the brush pen was inseparable from scholars and officialdom, and with wider and wider applications, its manufacture was gradually perfected.
The types of the brush pen affect the way they are wielded, and vice versa. Materials for the brush include the hair of goat and wolf and even fetal hair. In terms of hardness, there are rigid brush, soft brush, and a combination of the two. The body can be made of bamboo, ivory, hawksbill, etc. As its form evolved, people attached increasing importance to its designs and decoration, which in turn promoted the evolution of calligraphy. It is safe to say that the brush pen played a key role in Chinese civilization, not only as a mirror of China's historical and cultural changes, but also as a transmitter of traditional Chinese culture and philosophy.
Ink stick, or ink cake, is one of China's ancient four treasures of study. The other three being brush pen, paper, and inkstone. The black ink stick was inseparable from ancient Chinese bureaucrats and scholars, who used it for both writing and painting.
The ink stick's invention came after the Chinese brush pen. Before the man-made ink stick, people used natural and semi-natural materials, as recorded in the collection of ancient calligraphy. The artificial ink stick was first invented by Xing Yi in the Western Zhou dynasty, with which the color of characters is similar to that of dark soil, and it is made of soot, a kind of soil. In the Han Dynasty, man-made ink was produced from pine soot, first kneaded by hand and then modeled. Through the Wei, Jing, Northern and Southern dynasties, the quality of ink sticks rose steadily. In the Tang, Song, and the Ming dynasties, there emerged many superior ink makers of various styles. By the Qing dynasty, ink stick production was collector-oriented and ink sticks were becoming fine artifacts.
The making of an ink stick is a complicated process involving mixing the ingredients into a dough, kneading the dough, etc. According to Making Ink Sticks, a chapter in Arts for the People by Jia Sixie of the Northern Wei dynasty, grind and fine soot, then soak 1 jin of it with half a jin of fine glue in the juice of Chinese ash tree bark before adding 5 egg whites, 1 liang of ground cinnabar and rhino horn, and finally pound it 30,000 times. After the dough is finished, it will be pressed into a mold. The carving in this process is a very creative art. A mold, which comes in various creative shapes, usually consists of 6 parts: front, back, up, down, left, and right. The maker's mark is usually carved on the side. When the dough is placed within, the mold is closed tightly and hammered into the final product. Only when all the procedures are completed can one produce a fine ink stick that is consistent, soft, clean, and bright. Interestingly, ink sticks made of soot were actually edible in ancient China because the soot came from pine trees. Li Shizhen, a famous Ming Dynasty pharmacologist, argued in his Compendium of Materia Medica that pine soot was innocuous. What's more, in ancient China, people would add such traditional medicinal substances as pearl, muscovonio, and rhino horn to increase the ink stick's growth and anti-corrosiveness. Ink sticks were therefore classified as fragrant or medicinal types. Fragrant ink sticks, in addition to their calligraphic use, could also be used as seasoning for ink meat. Medicinal ink, as the name suggests, was effectively for curing infection and detoxification. Su Shi, a famous Song Dynasty poet, penned the lines, "Should I return to my studentship, I would drink the ink for sure."
Huang Tingjian of the same period also wrote that dandy should certainly drink 3 dou of the ink.
Another story about ink eating concerns Wang Xizhi, the famous Eastern Jin Dynasty calligrapher. When he was young, Wang practiced calligraphy with full devotion. He was once so absorbed that he forgot to have a meal. Even when a maid brought him mashed garlic and steamed buns, he did nothing but focus on his practicing. After seeing this, the maid had to tend to his mother. To the latter's surprise, she found Wang feeding himself with an ink-dipped bun, his mouth smeared with ink. He had been so preoccupied that he mistook ink for the mashed garlic. It was precisely such diligence and industry that placed Wang Xizhi, famous for his vigorously dynamic style, in the calligraphic Hall of Fame.
This anecdote about Wang Xizhi touches upon the magic of ink, which greatly complements Chinese calligraphy. The brush pen works the art of ink, as it is said. Throughout history, the calligraphers have emphasized the role of ink in enhancing the charm of calligraphy. A good example is the technique of hollow strokes in cursive script, which expresses the calligrapher's progressive emotion with the broken strokes, presenting a strong and passionate image to viewers.
The ink stick is one of the 4 treasures of this study. Its deep black forms an antithesis with the white paper. Ink's various shades, deftly welded, evoke a simple and unadorned aesthetic experience. Its making and application are testimonies to the temperament and wisdom of Chinese intellectual. Concentration and perseverance, as well as feasibility in adaptation.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching. See you next time.